Lecture 12, Legalism. One way Western students have memorized the dynasties of China is by singing them to the Frere Jacques tune. Try singing the dynasties to the following tune. Frere Jacques, dormez-vous, dormez-vous. Substitute the following Chinese name for the French words. Shangju Qin Hang, Shangju Qin Hang, Sui Tang Song. See how it works. Shangju Qin Han, Shangju Qin Han, Sui Tang Song, Sui Tang Song. Yuan Mingqing Republic, Yuan Mingqing Republic, Mao Zedong, Mao Zedong. I bring the dynasties up in order to better aid you in locating our final topic of legalism in Asian thought. Legalism is considered the third foundational philosophy of China. The other two are Confucianism and Taoism. Legalism gained prominence during the Warring States period, occurred from 480 to 256 BC, which took place within the last part of the Zhou dynasty. The Zhou dynasty came to a violent end when the Qin state seized power once they definitively overthrew the Zhou king. Legalism reached its apex of influence during the short-lived Qin dynasty, 221 to 206 BC. The Qin dynasty preceded the Han dynasty, in which Confucianism and Taoism were adopted. We'll examine the ideology of legalism from the perspective of the Qin ruler Lord Shang, he died in 338 BC, and through the philosophy of the anti-Confucian Han Feizi, he died in 233 BC. Lord Shang and legalism. Lord Shang, lived from 390 to 338 BC, was a high office holder of the Qin state during the Warring States period. The legalist book of Lord Shang is attributed to him. As the following excerpts indicate, Lord Shang believed punishments needed to be harsh and rewards light. Laws need to be clear. Rulers need to be capable of applying the law and not necessarily the most intelligent, and power is to be concentrated in the ruler. In addition, the people in the weakened political state are to serve their country only by farming and by military service. Other disciplines are to be ignored, including history, rights, music, and the cultivation of virtue. Lord Shang on punishment. These are excerpts from Lord Shang. If penalties are made heavy and relations are involved in the punishments, petty and irascible people will not quarrel. Intractable and stubborn people will not litigate. Slothful and lazy people will not idle. Those who waste their substance will not thrive, and those of evil heart given to flattery will bring about no change. If these 5 kinds of people do not appear within the territory, then it is certain waste lands will be brought under cultivation. If penalties are made heavy and rewards light, the ruler loves his people and they will die for him. But if rewards are made heavy and penalties light, the ruler does not love his people, nor will they die for him. When in a prosperous country penalties are applied, the people will reap profit and at the same time stand in awe. When rewards are applied, the people will reap profit and at the same time have love. Punishment produces force. Force produces strength. Strength produces awe. Awe produces virtue. Virtue has its origin in punishments. For the more punishments there are, the more valued are rewards, and the fewer rewards there are, the more heed is paid to punishments, by virtue of the fact that people have desires and dislikes. Lord Shang on clarity of law and the lawgiver. The way to administer a country well is for the law for the officials to be clear. Therefore, one does not rely on intelligent and thoughtful men. The ruler makes the people single-minded, and therefore they will not scheme for selfish profit. Then the strength of the country will be consolidated. A country where the strength has been consolidated is powerful, but a country that loves talking is dismembered. The way in which a sage administers a state is by unifying rewards, unifying punishments, and unifying education. The effect of unifying rewards is that the army will have no equal. The effect of unifying punishments is that orders will be carried out. The effect of unifying education is that inferiors will obey superiors. Now, if one understands rewards, there should be no expense. If one understands punishments, there should be no death penalty. If one understands education, there should be no changes, and so people would know the business of the people and there would be no divergent customs. The climax in the understanding of rewards is to bring about a condition of having no rewards. The climax in the understanding of punishments is to bring about a condition of having no punishments. The climax in the understanding of education is to bring about a condition of having no education. Lord Shang on a strong government and weak people. A weak people means a strong state, and a strong state means a weak people. Therefore, a country which has the right way is concerned with weakening the people. If they are simple, they become strong, and if they're licentious, they become weak. Being weak, they're law-abiding. Being licentious, they let their ambition go too far. Being weak, they're serviceable. But if they let their ambition go too far, they will become strong. Therefore is it said, to remove the strong by means of a strong people brings weakness. To remove the strong by means of a weak people brings strength. Lord Shang on farming and military service. Therefore is it said, if there are 1,000 people engaged in agriculture and war, and only one in the odes and history, and clever sophistry, then those 1,000 will all be remiss in agriculture and war. If there are 100 people engaged in agriculture and war, and only one in the arts and crafts, then those 100 will all be remiss in agriculture and war. The country depends on agriculture and war for its peace, and likewise the ruler for his honor. Indeed, if the people were not engaged in agriculture and war, it means that the ruler loves words and the officials have lost consistency of conduct. If there is consistency of conduct in officials, the country is well governed. And if single-mindedness is striven after, the country is rich. To have the country both rich and well governed is the way to attain supremacy. Therefore, as it said, the way to supremacy is no other than creating single-mindedness. If in a country there are the following 10 things, odes and history, rites and music, virtue and cultivation thereof, benevolence and integrity, sophistry and intelligence, then the ruler has no one whom he can employ for defense and warfare. If a country is governed by means of these 10 things, he will be dismembered as soon as an enemy approaches, and even if no enemy approaches, it will be poor. But if a country banishes these 10 things, enemies will not dare to approach, and even if they should, they will be driven back. When it mobilizes its army and attacks, it will gain victories. When it holds the army in reserve and does not attack, it will be rich. A country that loves strength makes assaults with what is difficult, and thus it will be successful. A country that loves sophistry makes assaults with what is easy, and thus it will be in danger. Therefore, sages and intelligent princes are what they are, not because they are able to go to the bottom of all things, but because they understand what is essential in all things. Therefore, the secret of their admiration of the country lies in nothing else than in their examination of what is essential. End of quote. Han Feizi and Confucian Virtue. The philosopher Han Feizi lived from 280 to 233 BC, studied under the Confucian Shunzi. In time, Han Feizi rejected the Confucianism of his teacher. Han Feizi thought that the Confucian belief of effective governments need to be virtue-based is impractical and foolish. In accordance with Shunzi's pessimistic view of human nature, Han Feizi held that since human nature is intrinsically selfish, rulers should not exhibit warmth to their subjects, nor reveal their thoughts and plans to them. Instead, in this state of unknowing, the ideal ruler is to foster rivalry among his subjects in order to manipulate them for his own purposes and the good of the state. One way Feizi encouraged deceitful manipulation was by taking credit for success and blaming failures on his subordinates. Agreeing with Lord Shang, Han Feizi also believed laws and punishments need to be clear. Clarity of law, argued Han Feizi, will allow people to determine with clarity that it is in their self-interest to keep the law in order to avoid punishment. Han Feizi on strong law and a strong state, and I quote, "No state is forever strong or forever weak. If those who uphold the law are strong, the state will be strong. If they're weak, the state will be weak." End of quote. Han Feizi on rulers cautiously staying in the background while maintaining clear and strong laws. This is what he says. When each exercises his ability, the ruler need do nothing. If the ruler tries to excel, then nothing will go right. If he boasts of an eye for the abilities of others, he will invite deceit among his subordinates. Han-Feizi on non-lenient rulers. If he is lenient and fond of sparing lives, his subordinates will impose upon his kind nature. Han-Feizi on strict hierarchy. If the superior and inferior try to change roles, the state will never be ordered. Use the single way and make names the head of it. When names are correct, things stay in place. When names are twisted, things shift about. Hence the sage holds to unity and stillness. He lets names define themselves and affairs reach their own settlement. Han-Feizi on rulers not revealing their natures. He, the ruler, does not reveal his nature, and his subordinates are open and upright. He assigns them tasks according to their ability, and lets them settle things for themselves. He hands out rewards according to the results, and lets them raise their own station. He establishes the standard, abides by it, and lets all things settle themselves. On the basis of names, he makes his own appointments. And where the name is not clear, he looks to the actual achievement it applies to. According to how achievement and name tally, he dispenses the reward and punishment deserved. When rewards and punishments are certain to be handed out, then subordinates will bear their true nature. End of quote. With respect to maintaining a strict sense of hierarchy, how does Han-Feizi teaching differ from Jesus' insistence in Mark chapter 10, verse 44, that whoever wishes to be first among you shall be slave of all? Jesus shocked Peter by fulfilling his teaching when he stooped to wash the feet of his disciples. You can find that in John 13, verses 1 through 9. The great Catholic theologian St. Thomas Aquinas challenges Han-Feizi's dismissal of virtue as central to politics, without naming Han-Feizi. He never heard of him. For Aquinas, influenced by Aristotle, the main purpose of political life is virtue, not only order and prosperity. According to Aquinas, since man is social by nature, it is natural for man to live in society, for only in the context of social living can human beings attain their natural end, that is, meant to be fulfilled supernaturally by grace in heaven. The ultimate end of political communities, therefore, is to seek the supreme human good, the common good, which is superior to the good of an individual. End of quote. This means that for Aquinas, both the final end of the individual, the family, and the political state is to live virtuously and to attain eternal life. While acknowledging the great importance of the political realm, Aquinas affirms the family as a small community that is relatively autonomous from the political state. The family limits the responsibility politicians have in instilling civic virtue, since much of this virtue formation, respecting the principle of subsidiarity, are to develop within each family unit. Since along with the state the family is ordered to virtue, when a child becomes an adult, the role of the state in a way replaces the role of the family. If the new adult has not internalized virtue when in his blessed state as a child within a family, hopefully aided by sacramental grace, the state has the duty to coerce him to be virtuous when he commits public vices. Similar to how Aquinas upholds the relative autonomy of a family from the state, he also upholds relative autonomy of other non-state institutions such as religious communities, guilds, and universities. All of these institutions also have some role that is distinct, but not absolutely from the state, with respect to virtue formation. Both Lord Shang and Han-Feizi differ from Aquinas regarding what is most important. In the writings of Lord Shang and Han-Feizi, a strong government that teaches clear and forceful laws is of utmost importance. Aquinas, while not necessarily disagreeing with this, also teaches that a strong government that coercively enforces strong laws is not sufficient, and, in a way, is lower to the more fundamental institution of the family. Aquinas is able to maintain this without contradiction, since he upholds a political hierarchy in which the state has precedence, with an ontological hierarchy in which the family, although lower in the political order, has precedence. Ontologically speaking, the family is greater than the political state since, among other aspects, it is to instill virtue by way of love and grace rather than force and fear. The ontological and political hierarchies are not to be understood equivocally nor univocally, but analogically. Both the loving context of the family and the more coercive political realm need each other. The family needs the state since the family lacks self-sufficiency that the state has. The political state needs the family since the family and its loving environment can more effectively encourage virtue than the state ever can. God bless.